Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom, beautiful Pnei Or Chavra and extended family far and wide. Parshat VaEira, and also Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Shabbat. The confluence, as you will see, is powerful. Today, joined by his brother Aharon, Moshe lives into his mission, returning to Mitzrayim to lead our people out from slavery and up into the ark of redemption. The creative source of the cosmos that is manifest in the natural world, Elohim, reveals further dimensions of divine power. We hear 4 promises of liberation. They will inform the shape of our Pesach Seder. And a 5th promise, a Kos Eliyahu, that points toward an ultimate redemptive possibility for the whole world. The first thing Moshe tells us is, I am Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. I am Yah. This comes to teach us that the first thing we must know is that there is a conscious, compassionate power in the universe that feels suffering. Dr. King says it this way: the universe is under the control of a loving purpose. In the struggle for righteousness, we have cosmic companionship. There is a conscious, compassionate power in the universe that feels all suffering. We must know this. Hold this awareness before us always, informing all the ways we act in the world. When we look at the promises, we can discover further that this compassionate power sources both liberation and healing, and that these are not separate. V'hotzeti, and I will take you out from the sufferings of Mitzrayim. I will alleviate pain. V'hitzalti, and I will save you. I will eliminate the underlying cause of the pain. V'ga'alti, and I will redeem you. I will prevent relapse by inducing health, life changes, eliminating old patterns. V'lakachti, and I will take you to me, v'yedatem, and you will know that it is I, the breath of life, your God and your guide, who is taking you out. I will replace old patterns with new ones. A whole new paradigm shift. A whole new paradigm of living must be put in place. Here, the Baal Shem Tov reminds us that even though the physical bondage of slavery was not insignificant, our exile in Mitzrayim was even more powerfully a spiritual sickness, a profound constriction of consciousness, necessitating deep healing and a fundamental paradigm shift. This liberation points us towards that 5th ultimate stage, in which we truly learn a whole new way of living. No longer enslaved to oppressive patterns, free to be healthy, minds and hearts open to the vast interconnectedness of all being. No longer in the tight place of Mitzrayim, serving Pharaoh. Of this, The prophet Yeshayahu says, "Then the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the oneness of being, like water covers the seabed." And Pharaoh. Who is Pharaoh in all this? Pharaoh, the dominating worldly ego, the ultimate narcissist, who, citing today's traditional Haftara, brags to Moshe and Aharon, "Li ya'ori, va'ani asitini." The Nile, it's mine, and I created it myself. Or even, sometimes more shockingly translated, I created myself. Pharaoh, the narcissistic ego, believes himself to be a god, arrogantly self-empowered, literally a divine self-made man, not beholden to any higher authority, possessed of the right to act in any way he chooses, to enslave a whole population, and even murder children. But in the end, he is humiliated by the plagues, which tragically reveal his limitations. Contemporary resonances are surely not lost on us. And servitude to Pharaoh, what is that? In Chassidus, the letters of the word Pharaoh are rearranged to spell Oref, which means the back of the neck, the part of the brain that controls imagination. Here we learn that bondage to the Pharaoh within is a bondage to illusions. When we become alienated from our true selves and our true purpose, enthralled to a narcissistic, ego-centered power, so easy to become enslaved to harmful, false, and constricting ideas, dangerous rhetoric, warped narratives can take hold. We might easily imagine that we are powerless and give up. Some will identify with the oppressor and seek power in harmful ways. Chassidus reminds us, watch out. Be careful not to project outward onto others, smugly imagining ourselves more enlightened or superior. Most critically for each of us is to look inward and see our own inner Pharaoh, shining a critical light on how this dynamic is at work within our own psyche. What drives us? How honest is our work? Can we look candidly in the mirror and see patterns of oppression in our own selves or lives? The inner work that we are called to do is prodigious. No one is exempted, and it is not a one-shot deal. Moshe and Aharon repeatedly come before Pharaoh to demand, in the name of God, release us from this bondage. Let my people go. Pharaoh repeatedly refuses. Moshe and Aharon outperform the court sorcerers, but this fails to impress. With inevitable karmic blowback, all of Pharaoh's evil turns against him. The plagues begin. Our blood flowed like rivers. Their rivers turned to blood. We loaded their freight, but it is destroyed by frogs. We made earthen bricks, and their earth breeds gnats. We are treated like beasts. Their cattle die. We poured water for their baths. They are afflicted with skin diseases. We cut stone for them. It rains hailstone. Still, the heart of Pharaoh is hard, and he will not let us go. Our Parsha ends mid-story. 3 final plagues will be unleashed in next week's reading. Soon we will be on the move. Let's close with a lesson from Rosh Chodesh Shvat. The new moon of Shabbat rose in the night sky this past Wednesday night. In just under 2 weeks, the full moon will bring us to Tu B'Shvat, the new year of the trees. This is an auspicious time. For now, saraf, sap, begins to flow in the almond trees of Eretz Yisrael. Not unlike the rising of the sap deep within the sugar maples here in our northern climes. Despite freezing cold outside, deep inside the trees, the first warm fluids of spring begin their upward flow. This is happening, even though we cannot see it. Change is like that. The spiritual lesson of the hidden rising sap resonates with our lessons in this Parsha. The word saraf, sap, saraf, literally means fire or burning energy. This is the energy of freedom, the energy of love, of compassion, of liberation, of, well, you fill in the blank. That rises to ignite our souls with a burning desire to ascend ever higher, to defeat inner and outer Pharaohs, bring the redemption, and lift us up to the light of change. The sap is rising. We are, to quote Dr. King, on the move now. Shabbat Shalom, beautiful friends. As always, when we call our unified Aliyah to Torah, if any of these insights touch your life or resonate for you in any particular way, rise as you might wish and reach towards Torah. For those who are group watching, now is a good time to hit pause in small groups to enjoy some holy conversation. We return in a moment to enter the gate of Torah. We enter the gate of Torah. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah.
מירושלים מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל ירושלים ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל ירושלים.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlu Adonai iti, uneramema
Shemo Yahdav.
Again, beautiful friends, if any insights or resonances from this morning teaching speak to your heart in a particular way that you would like to affirm, as we call our one unified Aliyah to Torah, you will rise in any way you wish.
ויעזור ויגן ויושיע לכל החוסים בו ונאמר אמן. הכל הבו גודל אלוהינו ותנו כבוד לתורה. נא לעמוד לתורה.
Rise in any way you might wish.
ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קרבנו לעבודתו ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. וידבר אלוהים אל משה ויאמר אליו אני Adonai. Now Elohim says to Moshe, I am Yah. לכן אמור לבני ישראל, אני יה. והוצאתי אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים, והצלתי אתכם מעבודתם, וגאלתי אתכם בזרוע נטויה ובשפטים גדולים, ולקחתי אתכם לי לים, והייתי לכם לאלוהים, כי אני אדוני אלוהיכם, המוציא אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים. והבאתי אתכם אל הארץ אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב, ונתתי אותה לכם מורשה, אני Yah. Yah says, I remember my covenant with your ancestors. So now I will get you out from under the burden of Mitzrayim. I will deliver you from the slavery. I will redeem you with great power and with powerful judgments. And I will take you to me to be my people. And I will be Elohim for you. You will know that I, Yah Elohechem, am the one who gets you out from under the burden of Mitzrayim, to take you to the land promised to your ancestors. This will be your inheritance. I say this, I, Yah. Vaydaber Moshe Kain el bnei Yisrael velo shamu el Moshe mikotzer ruach umeavoda kasha. So Moshe goes and tells this to the bnei Yisrael, and they can't hear it from shortness of spirit and because of the burden of heavy work. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, bo daber el Paro melech Mitzrayim. Yah says to Moshe, now go to speak to Pharaoh, the king of Mitzrayim, to send forth the children of Israel from his land. Moshe says to the face of Yah, Vaydaber Moshe lifnei Yah lemor. Listen, the children of Israel didn't listen to me. How will Pharaoh possibly hear me, and I, who am a poor speaker? Ve'ech yishma'eni Paro, va'ani aral sfatayim. Vayomer Yah el Moshe. Don't worry about it. You are going to be like Elohim to Pharaoh, and Aharon will be your prophetic mouthpiece. Now go, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, Emor el Aharon, Kach matcha unetei yadcha al memi Mitzrayim. Go, and you and Aharon spread your hands over the waters, over the great river, and over all of its tributaries and the pools of water everywhere. And it will all turn into blood in the whole land. Vayasukein Moshe ve'Aharon. So Moshe and Aaron follow Yah's instructions. He takes his staff and he stretches it out over the waters in the face of Pharaoh and the whole court. And it all turns to water, and nobody can drink the water. It has turned into blood. There is blood everywhere, all over the land, Mitzrayim. And the sorcerers of Mitzrayim can also do the same thing. Vayechezak lev Paro. So Paro hardens his heart and will not listen, as Yah had predicted. Vayifen Pharaoh. So Pharaoh turns and go back into his house. And that's the end of the plague. Vayimalu shivat yamim. It took 7 days for the blood to clear up. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe. Adonai speaks to Moshe. Now go to Pharaoh and say, this is what Yah says. Send forth my people to serve me. Shalach et ami ve'ya'avduni. And if you refuse, I am going to strike your entire country from all borders with a plague of frogs. The frogs will come out of all the waters, and they will be in your house. They will be in your doorways. They will be in your bed. Everywhere will be a plague of frogs on your court, and all of your people. Uvechol avadecha yalu tzfardaim vayomer Yah el Moshe Emor el Aharon. So Yah says to Moshe, you and Aharon stretch with your hands, your staff, over all of the waters, and frogs will come out of the waters. And so they do, and frogs are everywhere. Vayomer Moshe leFaro hitpaer elai. So now I do this to you, to Pharaoh. You will see what will happen, that there is none in the land like Yah, our God. So I will go, and I will now have the power to stop the plague, there will be no more frogs covering the land. Vayitzak Moshe el Adonai. Moshe cries to Yah about the frogs, and they all die and have to be gathered into heaps everywhere, and they rot, and the whole land stinks. Vayar Paro, Pharaoh sees that this plague is stopped. He hardened his heart and does not listen, as Yah had predicted. Vayomer Yah el Moshe. Now Yah says to Moshe, go out and stretch your hand over the land, strike the dust of the earth with your staff. It'll turn into a plague of gnats, which will cover everywhere and attack everybody. Vayasukein hachartumim. Also, the sorcerers do the same thing to try to get rid of this plague of gnats. They are not able. Vayakinam be'eretz ubavehema. Vayomru achartumim el paro. Etzba Elohim hu. The sorcerers turn to Pharaoh and says, this now is the finger of God. But Pharaoh's heart grows hard. Velo shama alehem, does not listen to them, as Yah had predicted. Vayomer Yah el Moshe, hashkem baboker. Moshe, get up in the morning. Stand before Pharaoh as he's going down to bathe in the river and say, this is the word of Yah. Send my people so that they may serve me. And if you refuse to do so, I am going to send among you and all of your servants and your houses a plague of insects everywhere. The land will be covered with insects and creepy crawly things. However, I make a distinction. In the land Goshen, where my people Yisrael dwell, there will be no plague. The plague arises, and Pharaoh calls to Moshe and saying, okay, go and serve your God right here in the land. Moshe answers and saying, no, we can't do that, because this is terrible in the eyes of Mitzrayim for us to sacrifice to Yah Eloheinu here. They would stone us. We have to go 3 days into the desert, as Yah says to us. Pharaoh says, okay, I'll send you forth and you will sacrifice to Yah out there in the wilderness. However, don't go too far, and also intercede for me, please. Vayomer Moshe, okay, I'm going to do it, and I will call on Yah to stop this plague. Vayetze Moshe me'im Paro. Moshe calls on Yah, and Yah stops to Moshe. The plague of creepy crawlies is gone. Not a single bug is left. Pharaoh sees that it's over. Vayachbed et libo. He hardens his heart yet again. Velo shilach oto et ha'am, will not send forth the people. Vayomer Yah el Moshe bo el Paro. Now Moshe, go to Paro and say, if you don't send forth my people, and you will be still hard like this, the hand of Yah is going to descend upon all of your animals, your horses, your donkeys, your camels. All of your flocks will be hit with a terrible plague. Except for the children of Israel, there will be no plague. And then Yah does this thing in the next day, and mass death occurs to all of the animals of Mitzrayim. Vayishlach Paro v'hinei lo meit mimiknei mimiknat Yisrael mimiknei Yisrael. Pharaoh sends a word out and finds out, and indeed no animal has died from the animals of Yisrael. Vayachbed, and he hardened his heart yet again and will not send the people. Vayomer Yah el Moshe ve'el Aharon, k'chu lachem melo chafnechem piach kivshan. Yah says, Moshe and Aharon, go to the kiln, take the soot from the kiln and from the ovens, throw it up into the sky, in the eyes of Pharaoh, and it will become a dust that will land on everybody and turn into pestilent, nasty boils in the whole land Mitzrayim. So they do this to Pharaoh. And Moshe throws soot up into the heavens, and it becomes a plague of boils on everybody. And the sorcerers can't even stand before Moshe because they are afflicted by this plague. Vayechezak Yah et lev Paro. Yah hardens Pharaoh yet again and does not send the people as Yah had predicted to Moshe. Vayomer Yah el Moshe, Hashkem baboker, Moshe, get up in the morning, stand before Pharaoh and say, this is the word of Yah, the God of the Hebrews. Send my people to serve me, ki b'pa'am hazot. This time I will send heavy wonders into your heart and into your servants and your people, so that you may know there is none like me in the land. Ba'avur teda ki ein kamoni b'chol ha'aretz. Odcha mistolel ba'mi levilti shalcham. Hineni mamtir ka'et machar. Barad kaved me'od. If you still refuse to send the people, tomorrow I am going to bring down on you heavy hail, the like of which has never been seen before in the entire history of your country. There will be voices of Elohim everywhere. Anybody who leaves his servants or his animals outside will see the destruction. At this point, Pharaoh's court splits, and there are those who follow the instruction and those who feel there is no problem and leave their servants and their animals outside. We don't need a mask. Vayomer Yah el Moshe, netet yadcha l'shamayim. Yah says to Moshe, stretch your hands out to the heavens and let the hail fall onto everybody who is out there. Hail, lightning walking through the land, voices of Elohim, thunder echoing everywhere. Hail lands and destroys all of the grasses of the pasture and smashes the trees. Except in Goshen, where Yisrael lives, there is no hail. Vayishlach Paro vayikra Moshe. Paro calls Moshe and Aharon and says, okay, I've done wrong. Yah is the righteous one, and I and my people are the bad guys. Hatiru el Yah. So just please intercede with Yah and stop the voices of Elohim and all of this hail. And I'll send you out, okay? You won't have to stand here anymore. Moshe says, I will cause it to stop. Ve'ata ve'avadecha yadati ki terem tiruni pnei Yah Elohim. I yet know that you and your court have not yet learned to truly be in awe of Elohim. You won't concede. Ve'apishta ve'asura nukata ki Sira aviv abishta givol. The hail plague has destroyed the winter harvest, the flax and the barley, but the wheat has not yet grown up, so it is not destroyed. Moshe goes out and claps his hands to Yah, and the entire storm ceases. Now Pharaoh sees that the storm has stopped, and continues in his way, hardens his heart, and will not let the people go as Yah had predicted to Moshe. Vayad Paro ki chadal hamatar vehabarad vehakolot vayosef lachato vayachbed libo vehu va'avadav vayachezak lev Paro velo shilach et bnei Yisrael. Kasher diber Adonai beyad Moshe. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chaye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
May the Holy One of Blessing, who has blessed all of our people, bless everyone who has risen in any way you might have wished to reach towards Torah, to honor God, to honor Shabbos, to honor Torah, with the bracha that you call towards yourself right now. You may wish to gently place your hands on your heart and locate in your heart the bracha that you need right now, at this time. That we might prevail over the inner and the outer paros. We stay present as we offer prayers for healing. At this time, if you are group watching, you might wish to also pause to call out the names of those to whom our healing prayers are offered this morning. We affirm that the compassionate power that sources the universe sources both liberation and healing, and that these are not separate. As you call out in prayer the ancient words that Moshe Rabbeinu sang out when Miriam, his sister, was stricken, and he prayed, Ana elna refanala, please God, please heal. We offer prayers for healing.
Ana elna refanala, Ana elna refanala, Ana elna refanala, Ana elna refanala.
We pray for both a physical healing and a healing of spirit for ourselves and for all of those whom we hold in our hearts. We stay present as the scroll is lifted.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לבני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה ישראל ואורייתא וקודשא בריחוך ישראל ואורייתא קודשא בריחוך תורה אורה תורה אורה הללויה תורה אורה תורה אורה הללויה. A Haftara from the writings of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzav divrayim hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai Habocher baTorah uveMoshe avdo uveYisroel amo uvinviei ha'emet v'tzedek. We are on the move now. The burning of our churches will not deter us. We're on the move now. The bombing of our homes will not dissuade us. We are on the move now. The beating and killing of our clergymen and young people will not divert us. We are on the move now. Like an idea whose time has come. Not even the marching of mighty armies can halt us. We are moving to the land of freedom. Now, the fact that this new age is emerging reveals something basic about the universe. It tells us something about the core and heartbeat of the cosmos. It reminds us that the universe is on the side of justice. It says to those who struggle for justice, you do not struggle alone, but God struggles with you. This belief that God is on the side of truth and justice comes down to us from the long tradition of our faith. I am convinced that the universe is under the control of a loving purpose, and that in the struggle for righteousness, man has cosmic companionship. Behind the harsh appearance of the world, there is a benign power. I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war, that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I refuse to accept the cynical notion that nation after nation must spiral down a militaristic stairway into the hell of thermonuclear destruction. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. I still believe that one day mankind will bow down before the altars of God and be crowned triumphant over war and bloodshed. and non-violent redemptive goodwill will proclaim the rule of the land. I still believe that we shall overcome. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anybody, I'd like to have a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will, and He's allowed me to go up to the mountain, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land, and I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Al HaTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
We rise together as we are able.
Es חיים למחזיקים בה לתומכיה מאושר דרכיה
May a time of renewal, a time of liberation, a time of freedom come. For we are on the move now. Holding in our hearts a vision of that future that pulls us towards sap rising, an energy of freedom, of of love, of compassion, of liberation, of justice. Well, you fill in the blank. An energy of shalom, of wholeness, completion, fulfillment, and peace. We charge the magnet of the possible future. Aleinu, od yavo shalom, aleinu.
Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Shalom, salam. V'neh v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz. Bayom hahu, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. Ushchintei, ushchintei,
keeping our eyes on the prize, holding in our hearts a vision of a perfected world. We offer a Kaddish Yatom, a mourner's Kaddish, that there might be a yet further soul ascent into the light for all of those for whom a Kaddish Yatom is offered this morning. Again, if you are group watching, this might be a time to hit pause, allowing everyone who might wish to call out the names of those for whom a mourner's Kaddish is offered this morning. Kaddish Yatom, a mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba, be'olma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye echon u'vyom echon u'v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'bizman kari v'imru amen yehei shemei Rabba mevorach le'alam u'l'olmei olmaya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. And may there be a further soul ascent into the light for all of those for whom a Kaddish Yatom was offered this morning. And may there be wholeness, completion, fulfillment, perfection, and peace for us and for all of the peoples and creatures of this world. Holding in our hearts all of the lessons of this morning, we close our Torah service, as has become our custom, in Killer.
En Keloheinu, en Kadonenu, en Kemalkeinu, en Kemoshienu, en Keloheinu, en Kadonenu, en Kemalkeinu, en Kemoshienu. מושיענו, מיך אלוהינו, מיך אדוננו, מיך חיינו, מיך מושיענו, נודה אלוהינו, נודה לאדוננו, נודה למענו, נודה למושיענו, נודה לאלוהינו, נודה לאדוננו, נודה למענו, נודה למושיענו, ברוך אלוהינו, ברוך אדוננו, ברוך מלכנו, ברוך מושיענו, ברוך אלוהינו, ברוך אדוננו, ברוך אלוהינו, ברוך מושיענו, אתה הוא אלוהינו, אתה הוא אדוננו, אתה הוא מגנו, אתה הוא מושיענו, אתה הוא אלוהינו, אתה הוא אדוננו, אתה הוא מגנו, אתה הוא מושיענו. שבת, שבת, שלום, שבת, שלום, שבת, שבת, שלום,
Shabbat Shalom.
שבת, שלום,
Shabbat Shalom. Beautiful friends, Shabbat Shalom.
שבת.